Hey, Peter.
Hey, Greg.
Hey, Linda.
President Hanley, we are live as the rest of the folks join.
Okay. We still have a minute or two to go.
And Member Griffin was going to be a few minutes after.
That's right. He said, I remember he said he was probably joining about 10 or 15 minutes late.
Correct.
And Peggy Lynch is not, she's in Europe, right? Or she's on.
Correct. The other two consultants and the EA are waiting, and I will promote them in as soon as you're ready.
Okay.
So we're just waiting for Lihia?
Correct.
Hi, Linda.
And we do have Mr. Montalvo when you're ready as well, when we get started.
Okay.
I'm promoting member Andrade Zuniga now.
Okay.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Lihia. Good to see you.
Good evening,
Or hear
Leah.
you.
It's 5:30. Let me call the meeting to order. Roll call. Trustee Griffin is going to join us in about 15 minutes. So let me go. Trustee Zuniga,
Present.
Trustee Land,
Present.
Trustee Dwyer, and you're on mute. But I saw your head, Bob.
Present, sorry.
And I'm here. So we'll make a note when Trustee Griffin arrives. Let me make a few announcements. In accordance with AB 361, the board's adopted findings that the meeting in person would present imminent risks to the health or safety of attendees of in-person meetings. Consistent with those findings, this is going to be a virtual meeting. Let me see. We have our Spanish interpreter for this evening. Thank you, Mr. Montaldo. I know this was not your designated evening, so I appreciate you making time to make yourself available. For those who would like to attend the meeting in Spanish, that option is available. Enrique, would you please communicate that to the people for this evening?
Absolutely. Tenemos a nuestro intérprete de español para la reunión de esta noche. Para aquellos de ustedes que quieran asistir a la reunión en español, esta opción está disponible. Muchas gracias.
Thank you. If you would like to view closed captions of the meeting, please view the meeting on the San Mateo Union High School District Board Meeting YouTube channel. The link to the YouTube channel can be found on our website. You can view the captions in English as we live stream our meeting tonight. And you can view the captions in a variety of other languages if you choose to watch after this meeting has ended. Viewers may request additional accommodations by calling 650-558-2201. This is a public meeting of the San Mateo Union High School District Board of Trustees. It's a special meeting. If you want to make a comment about the agenda item, please use the raised hand feature on Zoom to be recognized when invited to do so by the board president. You will be admitted to speak during the public comment period. The board president will call on you. Please note that comments are limited to 3 minutes. The board president may increase or decrease the time allowed for public comment depending upon the topic and number of persons wishing to be heard. Mr. Land, could you lead us in Pledge of Allegiance?
Okay, hold on. All right, please rise. Hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
One
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen.
Sorry, elementary school principal putting in my stand up and hand over your heart. Sorry.
No problem. I think we should bring in our leadership team. They are not here. Jackie, I see, is here.
Everyone is here now, President Hanley.
Great. Okay. So this is an opportunity for the board and leadership to discuss the superintendent search, the logistics of the search, the timing of the search, any of the details around the mechanics of the search. And so I think what might be the best thing is to allow leadership to maybe open the discussion and kind of ask us what they would like to know from us right now, and we can respond to that and give our views. Who would like to?
I'll be more than thank you, and good evening, everyone. It's so nice to see you all again. And I just want to make sure that I can introduce to you. You've met Blanca previously. She's partnering with me on the search, and I'm not sure that you've met Becky, our administrative assistant. So Becky is here with us this evening. So happy to be able to introduce her to you. And I'm very happy to see the amazing Charlene, who has been working very closely with Becky on all the logistics. So it's wonderful to be here. Thank you so much for inviting us. So I'm going to start out by just giving a broad overview of the search process. Although I'm sure most of you are familiar with it, I'm just going to go through some of the steps because we're going to be establishing some of the logistics tonight in this planning meeting. So the first thing that we're going to do, of course, is go down the outline that you were sent, so you know what it is that we're going to be doing. After that, we're going to ask you the same 3 questions that we ask everyone who takes the survey and all the stakeholder groups. That basically is, what are you looking for in your next superintendent? What are the strengths of the district? And what are the challenges that you see facing the district in the near future as well as down the road? This really, I think, helps you as members of the board kind of solidify around what it is you really want to see in that next superintendent. And I think it also is really good for us as we recruit our candidates to see which candidates are going to be that right fit. Do they have what you're looking for? Do they have the skill set that's going to enable them to be successful considering what challenges you might be facing in the future? So that's what we do. And then we ultimately triangulate all the data that we receive from, of course, you folks, all of your stakeholder groups, and then our web survey as well. So that really gives you then a lot of information in terms of the not only the position description that we're going to put together that helps us in recruiting, but also the executive summary of your community input through your survey. So we really feel that this is informative for the board. In addition to that, of course, we're going to be working with you to post information on your district website. So being able to post regular updates on the search process so that your community is well aware of what's happening when. We have the advertising dates that we'll just go over with you again this evening, nationally as well as in California through a variety of different venues. And then we're going to be recruiting. We recruit not just hoping that our candidates come to us, but we try to cast a wide net. So we really do try to reach out to people that we know are ready for a position such as yours and that we think would really be successful in your district. We do screen all the applicants, those who we feel are viable candidates. We do what I call kind of like a pre-screening where we really, talk to them, trying to understand why they're leaving their current position, why they're interested in your position, why they think they're a match for you. We know why we may think they're a match for you, but we want to find out, did they do their homework? Do they really see what you're looking for? And can they really make the case for themselves that they are a match? So we do all of these things to really determine, are these candidates that we want to present to you as being a potential match? You are going to be given access to all the candidates several days before we have our meeting with you. So you'll have a chance to look through their materials. And then we're going to have a special meeting, which again, we'll talk about finalizing the schedule on. And it's what we call the candidate application review and selection. We're going to be presenting those candidates in tiers, tier 1 being those candidates that we feel are probably the best match for you. And then the tier 2 candidates that probably are a match in a lot of ways, but may not have quite as good a match as those that we felt were tier 1. And then our tier 3 candidates. You get to decide which candidates you want where. Most important thing is deciding how many candidates you want to interview and which ones are the ones that you want to interview. We caution you not to interview too many. Once you get somewhere past 5, they all start blurring together. So you may want to, just kind of keep anywhere around 5 in your mind, because honestly, you are such a destination district. You are going to have so many qualified candidates. They're all going to look good. At some point, though, you're going to have to say to yourself, I can only take the best of the best to interview. So just want you to keep that kind of in mind. We will solidify the dates for the interviews, and you will be giving us information on where you want to have it. Many districts choose a venue outside of their district office, might be something that you want to do. And the days and times that you want to be doing these interviews. We also, right around, now, want to advise you, and I think we've talked a little bit before, it's time for you to be looking at your current contract and, talk to district council and be taking a look at, what are you thinking of offering in terms of contract language and benefit and salary parameters. So we will work with you to develop questions for the interview and, we'll put together an interview script for you. So we're there to answer any questions. will be present in the interviews to facilitate the interviews. So if there's anything that comes up, we're there to help. You can decide if you want to do anything other than the traditional interviews, a community advisory group, anything like that. We have some reservations about doing those that we can share with you if you're interested in doing it. And we can talk about that as we go through today's schedule. And then ultimately, you're going to decide which candidates you want to bring back and how many as your finalists. You'll work in a very informal interview process at that time with the finalist. Each one of those people is going to be giving to us their contract parameters sheet where they outline what are their, I call it, their ask. What is it they're looking for in terms of salary, vacation days, health benefits, travel, whatever it is. So you'll know that going into those candidate interviews. And then you're going to select your finalist. We'll talk a little bit about a site validation if you want, something like a site visit. Again, we can talk about the pros and cons of that. And we, of course, will contact all the applicants, inform them of the decision, and you'll make your appointment at your regularly scheduled board meeting, and we're targeting it for May 5th. So that's kind of the search process in a nutshell. Becky, did I forget anything?
Our regularly scheduled board meeting is actually May 12th.
Oh, okay. Then it's going to be May 12th, hopefully. Thank you.
President Hanley, I believe we moved them because of graduation week. I thought we moved them up to the 5th and the 19th for this year because
did we move them?
we did.
We did?
Yes.
Okay.
So it'll either be the 5th or the 19th.
Okay.
Any questions? Yes, Linda.
I see, I'm looking at the schedule and it looks like you started advertising on the 14th. You're going to advertise twice in EdCal and AASA. And then the deadline is the 28th. So there's actually just 2 weeks of time for, is that it for recruitment? Just 2 weeks? Or is that going to start earlier?
Well, we start recruiting, as I said, by calling people up and, looking to see what candidates are available. But I think that generally speaking, we usually advertise in 2 different EdCals and AASA. Becky, would you say that's the traditional timeline or?
Yes, that's a traditional timeline. We want to post the ads in EdCal to run concurrent with the, so that they have, after the last EdCal ad, they have yet another week to apply. But I think Blanca was going to talk about our website subscribers, so I'm going to pass that on to Blanca.
So we also send out an email blast. Once we're ready to go, we send out an email blast, and that goes out to over 900 recipients. And so there's a lot going on in addition to just the EdCal and AASA.
And if you don't know this, little known secret, our competitor HYA puts all of the national searches on its website. So you will be on the HYA website as well.
That's so sweet of them.
Nice of them. I really don't know why they do that.
So, okay, so then the deadline for applications is the 28th, and I'm looking at that's the last Monday in March. Given that we've got the 2 weeks of ads, is that if someone doesn't see the ad till the 25th, is that sufficient time? Is that 28th? I mean, since there's a whole week there, of March left pretty much, all the way through Thursday the 31st. So, is that 25th or 28th? Is that a standard deadline that you have to? You give 2 weeks of advertising, and then they have a deadline that comes up pretty fast for some of them, maybe?
It's what we normally do, but another thing that we also do is we take a look at our applicant pool. If, for example, the applicant pool isn't deep enough, we'll extend the deadline. And you may have seen those, sometimes it'll say, deadline extended. And again, that gets blasted out and as well as advertised.
Thank you. I just thought it felt kind of tight, but when I hear everything else that's happening, I think that I think that you didn't give a lot of information in that little advertising recruitment section that said that there's a lot of other stuff going on. So thank you.
We also, if I may, I can guarantee you that if anyone is looking or thinking about changing districts, they are looking at that constantly. That is something that they are looking at that. I guarantee you they are looking at it right now. And as soon as EdCal comes out, even when they're not looking, they look at that section. It is, I don't know what it is, but I can tell you that even for me, when I wasn't looking, I still looked to see who was posting. And so it is, especially for the superintendents that, or people that want to be superintendents, if they're looking to make a change, they are looking at EdCal each and every time it comes out.
And I just want to add that as soon as you approve the timeline tonight, tomorrow this position is going to be posted on our website. The announcement will go out to over 900 subscribers, closer to 1,000 right now, and instantly we get requests. We start getting requests for applications. Also, what will happen tomorrow is I will purchase the EdCal ads and we'll order them. Those won't get published until the dates that you see here, but the AASA ad will run for 30 days effective tomorrow when we order that ad. So there's plenty out there, and we will get instant requests for applications tomorrow as soon as that goes up on our website, because that's the other place that people are looking. Even if they're not subscribers, they're often looking at our website, and that will be there tomorrow for them.
Thank you, Becky.
Thank you.
So Trustee Zuniga, you had your hand up.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it would be helpful to know, where the advertisement is going to and what your timeline is in terms of advertising. That way we could be on the, we could have known that, it would have been at, all these different places and I guess maybe ahead of time, but yeah, I don't know if there's somewhere we can look and see, like, to track where it's been sent, any type of information in terms of a advertising timeline.
Well, I think the advertising timeline is what we were just talking about, that it's going to be in AASA starting tomorrow, which is, the National American Association of School Administrators. That's will be online for 30 days. It's going to be in those two AXA publications. It's called EdCal, and it's a publication that comes out twice a month, I believe, sometimes 3 times a month, and it advertises all of the positions that are available, from superintendents to principals, et cetera. And then our own website, which you can look at, you can go to the leadership associates.com. You can go to HYA when it's posted up there. Is that the answer that you're looking for, of where could you see the advertisements?
Just like where else you were going to be sending it. And just because I guess early on, we didn't really know like what your timeline was in terms of advertising. But now that we've had this discussion, yeah, now we know. But or like if there's something that like would have been presented before, like in writing or something, of like where, like how soon it gets advertised and where and things like that would have been helpful.
Okay, thank you. We did send out a proposed timeline where at least those dates.
Yeah, no, I saw that. It's just the other stuff that like that we were mentioning. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So Trustee Lang.
Thank you. So for me, just the 900 subscribers are your internal like group of people that you're sending it out to, right? It's not a broad out there for anybody to see, correct?
It's a subscription that's pushed out, right?
Okay, so that's good. It's limited because it's kind of internal. I was hoping that, and I know that EdCal, I look at the last page all the time. Usually it's the last 2 pages. And even when you're not looking, you're looking. So yes, I totally get that. And it's a good, I'm glad you're doing that in the AASA. My thought is, one of the things that's kind of trending is EdJoin. I know that's usually for some other positions, but I would consider, I've seen it for superintendents in certain areas to just kind of broaden the search. And so that is something I'm wondering why we aren't going to consider an adjoin. as well.
Traditionally, and I've been doing this for 6 years, superintendent positions are generally not in EdCal. Haven't been, let me put it that way.
Adjoin.
They're in EdCal, but
I
not.
mean, adjoin.
Right.
So most people that are looking for a superintendent position don't go to adjoin. But I mean, if your district has a subscription with adjoin and you want us to put it in, anyone who has that service, and I'm sure your district does, can put that in, put an ad in, and we can work with your HR person if that's what you would like.
Is there a disadvantage to doing that, or what's the reason? What's the reasoning behind not doing an adjoin? Because some districts do and some districts don't. I know exactly what you're talking about, but
I've only seen it in very small districts, to be perfectly honest, up Forest Hill or, those districts that have 115.
Ross.
I guess it's free, so maybe that's the advantage.
Mhm.
Obviously, there's probably not a disadvantage.
Okay.
If
Okay.
you'd like us to do that, board
I don't
members.
know. I wonder what the board would think. I would just go with what the board wants to do on this. I get what you're saying, and I think we will have a sufficient pool, but I'm just there.
I also wanted to add that in addition to the EdCal publication, there is a career center, an online career center through AXA, and that ad stays on from the first day that from March 14th all the way through the end of March. So it'll be on and it'll stay on, and it's an online resource for superintendents and administrators. So they see that as well.
Would you like to give us some direction on adjoin, board members?
I say go for it, because if we belong to it, then we should take advantage of it, and the more the better. Because we really the last time we did a search, we did not have a good candidate pool. And I think this time we really need one.
I agree with Linda.
So if I may just say one thing about adjoin, there's this particular way where we would want the HR department to not allow applications to come through to them where they can see. That will discourage the superintendent candidates from applying, because it's kind of an open, district resource. And so we would need to let the candidates know, first of all, that the adjoin ad is going to be redirected to our website, and we will give instructions and receive and send out applications to them, and that your district will not be able to see hits, the people that are coming and requesting those, because it's so confidential. And so that's another reason that I've seen that in my experience and the over 120 searches that I've assisted with.
So just to add to that, I think you're right. I think it's just don't click here to apply. Just here's the website that you would need to go to do the application. And it would be your website. So I totally agree with that. I think that would be the proper way to go, but it does expand because more people go on adjoin these days than in the past. It's really branched out a bit. So I think it just, like Linda says, it's gonna increase the pool, and that can't hurt.
So can we just
Trustee
who would you
Griffin
like us
has
to
his
speak with?
hand up for.
Yeah, I just got a couple of quick questions. Apologize for being late. Have you walked down the entire timeline, or are you walking down step by step?
Step by step, we're still on number 1.
So the question on those meetings on the consultants confer, and somebody asked this before I got on the call, is that a public meeting? Would the board be in attendance, or are those like just consulting meetings with the stakeholders? That's the March 10th and 11th.
The stakeholder meetings are just for the various groups that you tell us that you want us to get input from. Those are just between us and those people who show up for those groups.
Okay, are we going to would we be putting limitations on who could sit in on those meetings?
Well, I would tell you that if you, as a board member, want to sit in.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying in general, if somebody who's not part of a group wants to participate or hear what's going on, is that going to be allowed, or how does that normally go?
Well, we usually ask the administrative assistant, so Shar, to invite the people who belong to the various groups. And in just a minute, Blanca's going to, talk you through all that. But let's just say, for example, that we want to meet with the principals in person. Okay, she would set it up with the principals, the time and the date and the when, where, and then she would invite them, because we don't know, who to invite. So does that answer your question?
And maybe if I can expand on that and hopefully respond to your question. For example, I'm going to pick one of the groups, the principals group here. If they want to attend as a principals group and they really don't want, let's say, a community member sitting in on the principals group, because they really don't want them to go back and say, well, you know what the principals said about the superintendent. And it's not that we're talking about the current superintendent, but sometimes people interpret that whatever recommendations that they have are negatives against the superintendent, and they're not. It's just, this is what we'd like to see moving forward. And so it inhibits those groups. And I can just tell you that when another firm did the search for my replacement when I retired, there was a member from another group that stepped into a group, and those folks were really upset. And I heard about it. I wasn't part of it, but I heard about it and then had to relay that to the consultants. And the message that was given to me by those groups was that they felt like someone was in there to listen to them and not necessarily to contribute. And it really wasn't true, but that's how they felt, and they felt it inhibited what they wanted to say. So that's why we try to make sure that the group is as inclusive as possible, according to what you would like to see and who you would like to hear from.
Okay, I just had a question. I'm gonna keep talking like Greg did for 10 minutes. I just had a follow-up, and it's not that I have a preconceived notion. What I'm trying to understand and trying to encourage is transparency at as many places as possible. And I understand it's a balance between honesty and candor, and kind of like, well, they're saying stuff in there, we want to know what they're saying, or they're having private meeting, and I don't know if that would ever be a concern, but I do want to make sure that to the greatest extent possible there is some transparency, and if people want to know what's going on or why we're doing something, I think we need to be able to defend, not that we have to defend the thing, but we need to be, have good reasons and try to do our best work out in the sunshine, as they say. So anyway, that's my 2 cents on that.
And we're really trying to get as many perspectives as possible for you. And we also have the online survey that we will be posting on your website and getting out to your community, so that there are multiple opportunities for anyone really to participate.
I just think you've got to give people a chance to be candid and open within their own perspectives. And you can take transparency a little bit too far. People have got to be able to say what they feel. There's plenty of transparency in this process, is my perspective on it. Greg, you had a question?
I'm just going to reiterate what you said, because being one of those particular groups, I'm next Tuesday going to be on my Zoom for this kind of information. And I would prefer that if I was going to give you my insights, I'd want it just to be the principals group. I wouldn't want the HR director there. I wouldn't want, the cabinet because they have certain interests that are different than what I want to say. And if they're there, then I couldn't say that. So, you know, and I think that's important because it says exactly what Peter's talking about is I want to give my perspective, and then we as a board will hear it and use it and funnel it and say, we're going to have to weigh, you know, okay, so the principal said X, but you know, the union group said Y. Which one do we want to take into account when we're looking at this? I mean, that's our job and transparent. I think the only thing that, Bob, I agree with you with is there kind of a, I think the online survey takes care of it, but do we have an open forum? Is there, because I've heard that in other searches, sometimes they have a big forum.
And we will. Blanca's going to ask you, who is it that you want us to meet with? And if you want a community forum that's y'all come, well, you can do a community forum that's y'all come.
And that would be, Bob, the transparency that you're looking for.
Oh, yeah, and specifically what I was talking about was not necessarily an administration or somebody or a member of another group. It would be some taxpayer who read about the search or who wanted to know when this was going on and why can't I sit in?
That's the community one. That's the community one.
Are we okay with that?
Yeah, no, I'm fine. I got to ask questions.
Yeah.
Please. That's why we're here.
That's why we're here. I have a question. Who do you want? Who is the HR person that you want us to deal with about the EdJoin ad? Shar, you want to?
Who do we talk to for who posted?
Who should we talk to?
Yeah.
I would think Dr. Black would be
Yeah, I think
the best person.
I think Kirk Black is probably your HR contact.
Okay, just wanted to check, make sure that was the person. Okay. So Peter, will you be the board spokesperson and the board liaison?
I believe so.
Okay, seeing no other volunteers?
He's in the hot seat.
He's in the hot seat.
I'm willing to back him up, be second chair,
Okay,
but he's first chair.
okay, so we've got Peter and second chair Linda. Perfect, thank you. And we will be sending you all updates generally on a weekly basis, just depending. So would you want us to send it to Peter and have him disseminate it, or do you want us to send it to all of you?
I would say just send it to all, save him time.
Yeah, I think, yeah, you can just send it directly to them. There's no need that I need to be the
Gatekeeper? Okay.
the transfer point.
Okay, so with that, I'm going to hand it over to Blanca, who's going to walk you through what we were just talking about in terms of stakeholders.
So hopefully you've had a chance to take a look at the list that we have there. We've got 24 different groups. The heading says community session / examples of groups to invite. If you would like to, obviously we have group number 1 that we'll be talking to. If we can just go down and we can do a yay or nay or if you just want to tell me who you want us to invite, and if there's someone who is, and I'm saying some group that is not on this list that you would like us to reach out to, then please let us know. So
some specifics that later, if we could have some, like if the board has some specific groups. Yeah, that would be great. Even going, like you were saying, going down the list, it's great. But
yes,
maybe at the end we could leave like if there's any, that haven't been mentioned.
Yes. So we are talking to you, and then superintendent, meeting with the superintendent.
Yes.
Their cabinet.
Yes.
Leadership team.
Yeah. Can you clarify who is identified as the leadership team that will be part of this?
So if you have some directors or coordinators, you'll need to tell us. If there are members that are not part of the cabinet, but you want included that are there at the district level, we can include them as part of that leadership team. We just want to make sure that no one is excluded because they don't belong to the cabinet.
So this might be a question for Shar or Kirk.
Mhm.
I would think that if is there a way to do, because cabinet's important, but kind of a cabinet extension is the director.
Mhm.
the next
It
level.
would be the superintendent's council that would be, I believe, that team of people.
Okay.
That's cabinet and the directors.
There you go. That's it. Superintendent.
Yeah, that feels better.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Principals,
Yes, definitely.
Yes,
Mhm.
definitely the principals.
assistant principals,
I don't think. Let's keep going.
okay. Classified district office staff.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Confidential employees.
Mhm.
And Shar, jump in here at any time if you see a group that we're
So
missing
confidential
or
employees,
overlap.
I was going to say classified and confidential could be combined a little bit. I think so. I'm not sure.
Like myself, I'm confidential. I believe there's 11 of us, and we are also considered classified. You've got classified office. We would go probably with the classified district office staff, and then you've got your site classified folks as well.
Great, okay. So we'll do classified district office staff. You'll know who those are. I mean, you're
Yes.
the one that's going to extend those invitations. And so that will include the confidential employees. Perfect. Classified staff.
And I have a question on this. Down the road, you'll see that the classified executive board is going to be one of the groups to consider as a separate group. Would you want that group to meet along with all classified, or do you want to keep them separate?
Separate.
Okay. So we do want an invitation to just classified staff in general.
Yes, it sounds like it.
That's, yeah, we need all perspective. We need the perspectives.
Okay.
Mhm.
And certificated staff. I'm assuming. And then we have the Teachers Association Executive Board, and what Jackie asked, I'm assuming it applies to also the Teachers Association. So we meet with that executive board separately, is what I'm hearing from you,
Mhm.
correct? Okay. CSEA, same thing. We've talked about that already. How about school site council representatives?
You
Mhm.
missed students.
Did
Students.
I?
So students is really
I'm
important.
sorry,
Yeah.
I
So
did.
I think our school, because we're really trying to emphasize student voice, for student choice.
Mhm.
I think it's really.
You're a high school district. You need
Exactly.
to have that. Yes, I'm sorry. I just inadvertently jumped over it.
Well, and this is the group that, we were talking about being careful about, how we're getting this information and who is in the room. With the students, we have to be really sensitive and careful that they feel like it's a safe space, that there's going to be
Yes.
no just negative anything towards them, that they can be honest. Because
Mhm.
it gets intimidating. It's like,
Mhm.
you're this young person, talking about what you want in leadership, and so like you were saying earlier, I can't remember who it was, that the assumption is that it's something negative about someone else, like
Right.
that, just trying to make sure that we always tell them, that this is just basically gathering information and,
Mhm.
that it's not going to leave the room, just reassuring them.
Okay.
Do you
And I think-
want examples of different student groups that we are interested in hearing from?
My suggestion would be that Laura Chalkley, who's doing the associated student body groups, would need help to be able to form that, because she's done a great job in other times where she's
Yeah.
solicited, groups and getting people to talk and come and they.
Yeah, I think that's a great suggestion. Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. Great, great.
So Shar, will you deal
Yes.
with her and you can,
Our
get.
offices are right next to each other.
Yeah. Can I just put a plug though in for to just, I guess, a note, if she could, think about the clubs and the different students that are not necessarily in leadership, kids also from Peninsula High School, from the Bridge program, students that aren't traditionally in these types of programs because they have other things going on, or even like in the athletics. There's so many different voices that need, and in students that have disabilities in those programs. Yeah, just making sure that all the voices are heard.
Mhm.
I think that's a good suggestion. I like
So
that.
you want a diverse representation of your district. Mhm.
Mhm.
How about school site council representatives?
And are you wanting the adult school site council reps or the student reps or both?
So, mhm.
I think
School
the
site
student,
council or adults?
the school
Right.
site council are the
Generally
adults, right?
speaking, they're adults.
Adults.
You mean like the student council? Is that what you're thinking? Like
No,
the,
No,
School site
they
council.
would,
the-
It's
they
the
would go in
leadership
the
team.
previous.
It's kind of it's kind of a, I don't know, defunct organization kind of
Yeah.
because of lack of budget. So, but they still exist and they're still elected in their site. group.
right.
But I think if we combine kind of, parent committee leaders and site council together, it's kind of,
Mhm.
Excellent.
I think you can combine those.
Yeah.
Those,
Okay.
Mhm. Mhm.
You would be combining what PTO, PT,
With site council. Mhm.
yes,
PTSA?
Yeah.
PTSA?
But then what about the parent ed group, like the parent groups, like the Latino parent groups and all of the different, more siloed communities?
Isn't that DLAC, ELAC?
That's
We have
right.
DLAC
No.
and DLAC.
But what
I think
about
they're
the
different?
black
Uh-huh.
student, the black,
Right.
Black Parent Association.
Yeah, people
Yeah.
like groups like that. Uh-huh.
Well, could the Black Student Association be part of the student group?
No, black parents.
It's
Association.
Black Parent Association, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
And then
could
with
they be part of 14 to make sure that when we're inviting the parent committee leaders, you would be inviting all of those, groups that are entities unto themselves? Would you invite the Black parents, invite the, Latino parents,
I
invite?
think the one concern that we would have is
Mhm.
maybe those groups would be watered down. Because for
Yeah.
me, you definitely want a DLAC, ELAC separate because
Right.
you'd want translation, you'd want them to
Mhm.
feel comfortable, that Samia can help organize that group to get together. I would say Bob might have more insight into, because, thinking about the organizations like, groups that are of specific ethnicity. I don't know. I think that would
Yeah,
be,
I mean, that, like the BPA, we probably get Ms. Chalkley to reach out to the BPA people, and I'm sure if there's like the API has a parent group,
Mhm.
Right.
the same, and they probably, I don't know why they couldn't all be
in one.
one mass.
For that parent committees, basically, or subgroups or
Yeah.
whatever.
And sorry, with the students, I forgot to mention the county youth commission, that maybe there's some students that are there that have, are in our district, or just to not forget that maybe they are not part of the stuff within our district, but outside of the district that, that are our students.
So we would include those, just for clarification, with the students and student board representatives.
Mhm.
Just the youth commission. I'm
Yes,
sorry, and I forgot to mention
yes.
when we were talking about.
And that's
yeah.
exactly what I'm trying to clarify. I want to
Okay,
make sure they're
good.
in the right group.
But it'd be
Yeah, thank you.
there'll be our students on it, not
I was
the
gonna say,
whole youth
it should be our
commission.
students.
Correct,
It's
yeah,
just- yeah.
yeah. It just, if we have a student on that commission.
Okay.
So I have a question, just because my notes aren't as clear as I'd like. So are we combining 13 and 14 and 19 or not?
No, because school site
Separate.
council is adults and
Yeah.
school-
Mhm.
and
13
13 are students.
Yeah, so 13 students are kind of, talk to Laura Chalkley, get a diverse amount of students.
No, 12,
Mm.
isn't 12 student and student board reps?
No,
I
12
think-
is CSEA.
you got a different
Yeah.
list.
Got a
I have a different list.
Oh, okay.
Whoa.
Yeah, you should use the one that we got most recently.
Yeah,
Oh, all right.
so parents,
Okay.
parents are different, yeah.
Right.
It'd be two groups. It would be,
Mhm.
I would suggest that PTA, PTO, PTSAs, and site
Site
council
council.
be kind of one
Group
together.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
other groups of parents that select, that represent diverse groups be kind of in the second parent,
Mhm.
voice.
Okay.
With students from Peninsula High School, could we have students maybe that have been in the FLY program? Maybe like, because they have gone to Peninsula and they have more of an understanding of like governance and like the processes of, their rights and things like that. I don't know if y'all think it's, if we should be more specific that way or just open it up to a student from Peninsula.
Well, if you have you're going to have student representatives from Peninsula on the ASB, different student organizations. I wouldn't try to create another seat. Because other schools may also have other things that are going on that we're just not aware of. So I would make sure, it'd be good to to stick with what representation they're doing now.
Yeah, no, and I guess I mean like being more specific and reaching out to FLY specifically that has been working with our students. Maybe they haven't heard about this or they would want to be involved, but not creating a whole separate group, but just including them in the student representation.
You can have, my suggestion would be just talk to Laura about it, because I think
Let Laura.
that kind of gets out and I think she's very good at that and bringing it in. So if you made that suggestion, I bet she'd know what you're talking about and say, okay, I have somebody in mind or have two people in mind.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And then we're
City
down
council members.
Yeah.
That's
if you
a
wish.
question, not an answer, and I'm
Yes.
cool with moving on.
So we're at service club representatives. Do you
Oh.
have any
Oh,
service clubs that you work closely with or that you would want us to meet with?
not
They
that
have
I'm.
not, they've not historically been a big player.
Okay.
No.
You know what my suggestion would be is I would like us to do a community forum and invite a broad base of people. That would include a special invitation of service club organizations, the Kiwanis, that group, those leaders, the city council leaders, the city
Chamber of
staff,
Commerce.
Chamber of Commerce,
Mhm.
and business partners, and just say, hey, we want an open forum. We don't want to just hear from parents. We want to hear from the community.
Mhm.
And what can you do? And how would what would you like to have your input?
Yeah.
And
And
I
there's some,
think
You could include business with that.
right.
yeah.
Yeah, it would
And
be
there's
that
some-
whole group.
Sorry. There's some commissions that also are specific to like youth and family issues that are going on in the county with different districts. Like, for example, the Youth and Family Committee on the Commission on Disabilities, they have specific people that do have kids in the district, and they do talk about things pertaining to the San Mateo Union High School District, or even the JJPDC, the Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Commission. Maybe there's people there that are interested in, knowing what's going on with that, since they do serve some of our youth. So yeah, I think the community forum would be great.
Okay. Noted. DLAC, I heard a yes on that. City council members,
They could be part of that bigger group.
community forum,
Community,
Yeah.
chamber, same.
community forum.
Yes.
And we've got TSA, PTA, and PTO up with school site council reps.
Yep.
Okay. I've got arrows that are being drawn. Booster groups,
Mhm.
do you want them also in that same group
Maybe
of
with the
adults? Or-
parents.
These are parents.
Yeah, with the parents. Mhm.
Okay.
They would go with 14 school
Mhm.
site and PTA, PTSO,
Yeah. Exactly.
Mhm.
Okay.
PTSD.
14, 15, 20, and
Yes,
20 would be together.
Yeah.
14, 15. I just want to
20 and 21.
20 and 21.
20 and 21
Yeah,
together.
all the parent, one
And
parent.
22, education foundations. They would go with that same.
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
Then we get down to 24.
Yeah. Your call. Superintendents of neighboring or feeder districts.
If you want to reach out to them,
Yeah.
that's fine. I mean, they are our feeder districts, so.
Right.
I think it's worthwhile because I think we've made some particularly strong efforts in the last,
Yeah.
especially as COVID has affected us. I think we've made some especially strong efforts to strengthen our articulation with all of those districts. And I would also, I would include that in your conversation with Kevin as to which districts, he thinks are particularly critical for you to get some input from.
I think
Because
also-
I know he keeps in contact with all the other superintendents pretty closely.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's important if we can get them together on a Zoom, that would be good. But
Yeah.
I would also invite the county superintendent, Nancy McGee.
Yeah. And especially because there's some districts that have different, like, people that are part of the district boards and things like that are like the sanctuary task force. And so they have like different people joining different things with different perspectives. So that's good.
Great. And keep in mind that part of this process is also getting your community to invest in this person that's going to come in because they had a say-so.
Yeah.
And so they're going to be invested in their success and especially with.
Well, they'll be invested.
Yeah. And don't forget, like in the community forum stuff, I would like to include churches, especially like in Latino community. It's really important. Everything sometimes gets funneled through the churches and like information and just like community. And so sometimes people like turn to schools and churches for a lot of this and the support. So I think that's important.
It's very
About
good.
churches. As a general outreach to the cities, they would get it, right? Okay. So we do have to keep that separate.
Any other groups that we have
Sorry.
not mentioned?
I have a concern about the word churches. I mean, I don't mind churches, but it also needs to be all religious organizations. I mean, temples.
Yeah.
mosques,
Places of worship or like different
places of
words.
worship,
Yeah.
basically. So
You know what I mean?
I didn't want to be too limited there.
No, they can all
Yeah,
get on
no,
the email.
absolutely.
It'll be an email they'll get,
Yeah.
all of them. That goes to a whole lot of people.
Our faith-based groups. Yeah.
There you go. That's
I know.
That's
I'm like
the
trying to
appropriate
learn
words.
certain words.
trying to
Exactly.
keep it legit here.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Totally.
Boy, you guys better get started tonight because you gotta
We'll be doing this
know.
in May.
no sleep
know,
for
it's like-
Becky.
I think we'll need the latter board meeting.
Well, we're trying to
Definitely the
group things
19th.
together so you don't have to have too many of these meetings.
Yes,
So,
I
but yeah,
appreciate
it seems
it.
pretty broad.
Thank
based.
God for Zoom.
Yeah.
So Shar, we're counting on you for the consolidation.
Yes, and some districts, what they'll do, because obviously hiring a new superintendent is newsworthy in most communities, when they do a news story on the fact that you are conducting a search, an executive search, will list the community forum, the date, et cetera, and how to join, how to participate. And they'll also put on there the website for our surveys. And that way people can participate. And it doesn't mean just because they participate in person, doesn't mean that they can't go on and do the same in the survey, because they might think, oh, I thought of something else. That's another way for them to participate. So what we do is, yes.
Sorry. So on that note, so Shar, can you talk to Laura to make sure that she does the advertisement for the community for the community forum and work together? Because she's our communications director and she knows how to get in touch with the San Mateo Daily Journal and blah, blah,
Yes.
blah. Okay.
Great. Thank you so much. And so what we'll do is we take all of that information And we create an executive summary for you, basically highlighting the overlapping topics, the things that we see, the characteristics that we see coming up over and over. And that helps us to actually develop the narrative for the position description, for the job description. And we will basically draft one that we share with you, and then you help finalize that or help us edit that, so that at the end of the day, it has to be yours. It has to be reflective of what you're looking for and what you want. And with all of that input, with your input that we will get tonight, then it should be exactly that. And as we have listed on here, the majority of you will review it and respond to that prior to putting it on the website and getting that out. We have right now on our timeline for the online survey dates as March 7th through 18th. So they have plenty of time to do that. And the languages that we will post that in is English, Spanish, and Mandarin.
I have a question about the accessibility of the, I guess, the software that's being used for the survey, that it's compatible with different types of accessibility software like JAWS or Naturally Speaking, things like that, just to make sure that people can access it if they can't use their hands or need, or have vision disabilities or anything like that.
Yes. Okay, great. And with that, I think, Jackie, it's
Yeah,
back to you.
the only one thing, I just want to double back. Do you have a narrative of the community and the district that's up on your website that you would like us to use as we, market the district? Is what's up on your website, for example, what you would like in terms of the, narrative of the community and the district, where you kind of talk about we're nestled in the hills of blah, 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 high performing district, great parents. Is there something, the question is there something on your website that you would like us to use, or do you want to create something, or do you want us to talk to your public information officer and check on that?
I think you should talk with Laura and just do something.
Yeah,
I think
talk
we
with
might have
Laura.
something.
I actually, I
don't
haven't
think
looked at the website
No, since we
in
changed
that
the website-
particular location for a while, so I don't know exactly what's up there right now.
Well, there is, am I on speaker? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I would talk to Laura, but we do have a welcome to our district, talking about our community,
Right.
our community, our students,
Yes.
our mission. That is sitting there. When that was written, when it was last updated, I have no clue. But it does look, it doesn't look dated.
Good.
But I would talk
Our
to Laura
website's
about it.
Okay.
Yeah, because I know there are people working on the website all the time. So,
Right.
but it's very nicely written. So
Good.
I would think you could work with Laura and pull information from that, because it's maybe a bit longer than what you want. It says our district and then welcome to the Central Union High School District. So it's right there on the website.
We'll just
Okay.
check, make sure that's what Laura is okay with us taking, if that's all right with you guys. Okay, moving right along. We talked about the publications, and unless there's any question on that, I think we'll move to affirm the dates for the stakeholder input sessions. So we currently, and there are 3 of us, which is good. We may need 4 or 5 to get through all these, but we're hoping that between the 3 of us, 2 solid days, March 10th and 11th, that we would be scheduling back to back stakeholder meetings. I know Char's already, seen the scheduled format template that we generally work from. And we think we should be able to fit all of these in those 2 days. And if not, we'll probably add March 14th. So there would be three days that we would be able to be doing all these stakeholder input meetings. And we're pretty sure we can get them done within that amount of time. Is that okay with all of you?
Mhm.
Yeah, that seems fine to me.
Me too.
That seems like a good timing.
Okay, and then I want you to take a look at the closed session date that we have for what I was telling you about. We're going to bring to you these tiers of candidates, and we're going to tell you about each one of the candidates and why we think that candidate is a tier 1 or why we think that candidate's a tier 2. So we're looking at probably a 3-hour, well, 2 to 2.5 hour meeting. And I'm assuming it'll be in the evening. So we would be looking at April 14th for a special meeting in the evening. Will that,
I can't do that.
you can't do
I'm not available April 14th at all.
okay. So what other dates?
I could do the 13th. But I'm not, the 14th and 15th, I'm not available, period.
How about the rest of the board members?
I'm sitting at work right now, and I will be sitting here pretty much till 9
Oh
or
my God,
10.
Right,
Here-
it's taxes, huh?
But yeah, the 14th and 15th is definitely not good for me, and 18th is actually the tax deadline. So maybe the Wednesday, but
13th,
Yeah, the 13th works for me too.
I
Greg,
can do the 13th.
It's
Linda?
my spring break, but are we doing this by Zoom
Aw.
or in person?
In
It's
person.
really up to you.
Oh, wait. So Becky, what did you say?
I said in person. It's usually in person because they, you know, but you'll have access to the materials before your meeting. Either way, it can be done Zoom. We like for you to have a binder in your hands. And so usually it's whatever the board wants, but we provide the materials to you. Not only will you be reviewing applicants, but you'll also be reviewing the interview questions and deciding on what questions to ask. You will have those in advance, but you will finalize them at this meeting.
And I have to say, I've done them both ways. We've done the candidate review on Zoom as well as in person. So it's really what's most convenient for you.
I can do it. I can do the 13th. If everybody else can, I can do.
I'm going to be healing from surgery. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to be up at that time yet. I'm having surgery this upcoming. I got pushed to this Monday. And so it's a pretty extensive recovery. So just in case I can't, and then if I could be on Zoom, that would be awesome. And then there are things that I cannot like physically hold. My hands don't work at all. So yeah, I'll have to be online anyway, like have some sort of electronic accessibility. Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
So you need a Zoom,
Okay.
is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Just to be on the safe side, because I don't know at what point I'll be in my recovery.
I'm fine with Zoom too. I think
I
that
am.
it
yeah.
makes the platform, if Ligia is on it, I would want to be on it too.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, because then if we have one meeting on in person, I guess all the state emergency things were revoked, and then that just potentially switches us to in-person meetings.
Let's just stay to Zoom and not cross
Yeah,
that bridge.
I don't want to. Yeah, I don't
No,
want to cross
nice.
that bridge unintentionally.
Yeah,
Well,
And
March,
This is a closed session, of course.
it's a
right.
close, yeah.
but still, why don't we just plan on Zoom if things change, but let's just plan on Zoom.
So we're looking at the 13th and what time, knowing that it's going to take, let's just say 2.5 hours.
5:30 again?
Yeah.
Does that
5:30.
work, Bob?
I'm checking my calendar now. Just one quick second.
Blanca, how does the 13th work for you?
That works fine for me.
Can we, so
Yeah, I'm available.
I have a question. Can
Yes.
we do a hybrid version where it's some Zoom and some in person?
You know, I have to say, I've done one that way, and
Yeah,
it didn't work as well as I think I would have
not
liked it.
good.
The Zoom person never really gets a chance to join in the conversation quite the same way. And then people are always asking, do you have anything? It just doesn't flow as well. That's just my opinion though.
No, that's exactly what I wanted to hear. So I can Zoom,
Yeah,
but I think we need digital. We all need digital if we're going to do it that way, or both. You know, have a binder sent to us, and then we have a
Oh, yes, yes. You will all get your materials, your binders, you
Okay.
have, yeah, all of that.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. So then the next one is the actual interviews that you're going to be doing, and you need to ask yourselves, do you want these to be in person or via Zoom? And again, I've done them both ways. And we have tentatively scheduled it for the 23rd, which is a Saturday, because it's all day. And then just depending on what you decide, how many candidates, if you want to do them all on Saturday, if you feel you want to bring a couple back on Sunday. So if you could please just, talk amongst yourselves, what's your preference right now?
I actually may not be able to be there on the 23rd or the 24th. I have a Disneyland trip with my music orchestra to Disneyland. And
Can I go too?
Yeah,
Oh,
me
let's have it
too.
there.
I
Y'all
want to
Let's do
go.
it there, yeah.
so that's going to be a problem for me. I come back on the 24th, but and I'm unfortunately it's a complicated situation, so I have to chaperone in a high level kind of. I'm in charge of the stuff.
Could we
Okay.
push it out a week, like the 30th?
Could we do
I'm
that?
good at chaperoning.
I would love you, Linda. I need chaperones.
Hey, I'll go.
All right, but could we push it out somehow, or?
Yeah, I mean, I think we can. Blanca, are you looking at?
I have a conflict with April 30th.
Okay,
I would not push it farther than that. That's
No.
too late.
Right, because you want to make sure you have that
That's too
time
late.
to.
Yeah.
well, the other thing is you want to make sure you get the pick of the crop.
Can we carve out I mean, we have done these before on weekdays.
Yes,
Mhm. As long as usually that's when you'll do it offsite. And because there's too much traffic at your district office, but
Right,
you could do
right.
it during like on the 29th, Friday.
Burlingame, we did it at one of the hotels,
Yeah, we've done it at hotels before or at,
conference
yeah.
conference rooms.
Yeah,
Um,
29th looks good.
That'd be accessible.
I strongly prefer to do in-person interviews if we can do in-person
Mhm.
interviews. I really want to do.
Could we do the 29th? I could do the 29th all Friday.
And I'll really do my best. I'll see, hopefully the healing process is going to be positive, and I don't foresee any complications. And so hopefully I'll be able to do the in-person on the 29th.
Is that?
I-
is it
you
better-
know, San
better than
Mateo-
the 23rd?
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
San Mateo Library has a very nice room.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe we could just go use one of their rooms and not rent a hotel. I mean, I think that would work just as well.
it
And it's
does.
at San Mateo.
Yeah, we actually did it in Lafayette in their lovely library community center. They had a separate room. We were able to bring in food, so the candidates were able to break bread with us
Yeah.
in that room.
Yeah, I mean, I think we could, maybe Shar could look into the San Mateo Library.
Mm-hmm.
I know Burlingame has one too, but I
I
think
was going to say,
San Mateo would probably be better for us. Just, we have more schools in San Mateo and rather than Burlingame.
Okay, so are we going to do just one day of interviews then? So that means you're going to have to pick your finalist that day. So it might go long is what I'm saying.
it'll be a full.
well.
Okay. Mhm.
Yeah.
That's why we get paid the big bucks.
Yeah.
Got that, Peter?
Lunch provided.
Yes,
So the only-
that's
the
the
only thing-
incentive right there.
I'm concerned about that, though. I'm concerned about that. Because that historically has not been the way it's gone.
What
What's
do you
that mean?
Explain. What are you
Well,
saying?
Well, I think we've taken more time than one day especially if we get, I mean, I'm not sure how many candidates we'll end up interviewing, but say we did do the maximum of 5. We've then often chosen to bring 2 back and do a follow-up. I have strong reservations about committing to one day and done.
Actually, so I misunderstand. So I'm with you. I thought we were going to do the 5 in one day, And then we nail it down to 1, 2, or 3 candidates for kind of an informal social setting, meeting them.
Yeah,
I think
I
that
mean,
would-
we have
That
not,
would take
we have
another
not
day.
historically made a final decision off of one single interview. And,
No,
and I have
Can we do-
reservations about doing that.
Can
I
we do
agree.
part 2 on the 30th then,
or the 31st.
on a
or-
Saturday?
Blanca, you're not.
I
I
have
mean, we
a-
may have to do it without Blanca.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah,
Yes,
I mean, there's
that-
3 of us.
You're right, Peter. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, there's 3 of us. We
Yes, so we
sure.
could handle that.
Okay,
Yeah, easy
And Becky,
enough.
that's 4.
29th, 30th.
Okay. Okay.
So both the 29th and the 30th will hold.
Yep.
Perfect. And Shar, will you help us with the San Mateo Library?
Absolutely.
Great, thank you.
yeah, or if that doesn't work, I think there's some other places that we could consider too.
Would you want it for both days when I look into it, both Friday and, okay.
Yes.
Well, that's
I
what
just
you
wanna
need
be
to
prepared.
discuss. I know Greg is big on breaking bread, so Greg.
I'm big on
Greg,
breaking bread.
Yeah,
would
I like
agree.
yeah, I mean, again, historically, it's worked very well to have like a lunch or a dinner, and I like that format very much.
Mhm.
I agree.
And I think it's worked very well for us.
I know Dave Pine, Mark Friedman, and I, because we've done it various times with the other superintendent hirings. That was really
Yeah.
critical to get a good one that we knew was exactly a good fit. And every time we did that, they've stayed till retirement or passing away or retire.
Yeah, we did,
Yeah.
we did that
Yeah.
with both Kevin and Scott Lawrence.
The thing to remember though is confidentiality. So
Yeah.
you don't want to be breaking bread at the, most popular restaurant for Sunday morning brunch.
What we
Mhm.
could do is there's usually like back rooms in
Yeah.
certain areas. we
We've
can go
gotten
to.
rooms, or we've gone
Yeah.
upstairs
Right.
to places.
One of them, we went to somebody's country club, I think, and ate in the dining room back in somewhere. And then the other one, they actually had seemed like it was a curtained off back room.
Yeah,
And
Paragon. I mean, not Paragon, Trapeze. I know that place.
no, it was another one, the San Mateo, it's not there anymore, but it was on the corner, that's the brew
Kingfish.
bit.
Kingfish.
Well, I
Char-
guess that'll
I
be
think
another
Char's
thing
on
that'll
it.
have to be done,
Yeah.
Char's
to
on it.
find a place.
Okay, that's going to be hard for Shar, but yeah.
Okay, then the next thing, we ask boards, but I have to say, I was just talking to one of my other colleagues, and we said, we haven't seen a site visit in 4 years. Some districts used to do that. They would go and visit a site. I'm not sure that it actually gives you any more information. But certainly if you're interested in doing a site visit, or maybe even having some people from the site do a Zoom with you to validate whatever you'd like to do. In my experience, we haven't done anything like this though in a while.
Yeah, I think we rely on you to have done kind of that and you get more information and better qualified information. I mean, those site visits were kind of dog and pony show.
Yeah.
They are, yeah.
Mm.
Yes,
And we're the
exactly.
dogs.
I mean, no one comes out and says this guy's a real rat.
Horrible.
Except for those ones in the corner that are
and they-
kind of like, psst, psst, come here.
Exactly.
I need to do
And
You
they
don't want to
clean-
hire this guy.
They also clean up their desks so you can't see what a mess they are. So, yeah,
But
No.
it would be interesting to talk about reference checks and, conversations that you've had with references. And that would be interesting to have a conversation.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
just to
we need
relay
to
to
do
us,
that.
This is what we've done, and we've gone a little deeper. Cause I mean, in your interview or the presentation, you guys talked about, we go beyond in references.
Right.
It'd be good to get that insight. So especially with the final candidate. So that would be something we'd want to do or hear from.
So when we present to you the candidate review, when we give you your tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, we will at that time have done that deep dive. And we'll be telling you the reason this person is just say hypothetically a tier 2 is, even though on paper, this, and this, when we talked to this person, we found out that, or, there's something in that person's, financial records, or board didn't know they were, $42 million in the red. There are things that we find out about past districts, maybe not the most current past district, but maybe one before that. And so, yeah, you'll get the good, the bad, and the ugly when we do that candidate selection review. So we really try to dig deeply and let you know as much as we can find out about the candidates.
Surveillance film, stuff like that. Yeah.
My gosh. Oh my gosh. Really?
That's what I was doing today.
Well, the other
Lawyer.
the other interesting thing is so much is available on social media and
Mhm.
Yes.
everything. It's really kind of hard for candidates to hide things. And so we not only, of course, look at all of those things, but we'll confront the candidates, well before you'll ever hear about them, and say, well, this article said you this, that, and the other. And then they'll tell us the backstory, but then we'll keep digging to see, where's the truth in all of that. Okay, so we're not going to do a site visit.
No.
Correct. Okay, and then the last thing is we're looking at that either May 5th or, did you say 19th board meeting?
19th.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, if we're going to make a decision April 30th, we're probably looking at May 19th as for a contract.
Yeah, you'll do the contract negotiations and hopefully that'll all go well. And again, you'll know their contract parameters. You'll know what their ask is. So if there's a candidate who's way out of line, you may not decide to even, consider that person, but you'll know.
Are there other districts that are similar to ours that are looking as well right now?
Well, it depends on how you say similar. I don't think there's anyone that's quite as similar as yours. There are other larger districts that are going to be getting a good pool, national pool. San Francisco is open, Berkeley is open,
Yeah, I just think about deadlines and how soon people had to make decisions in those districts, and our pool of candidates. It's concerning. Yeah.
Well, if they're looking at San Francisco or Berkeley, they should look at us because we're a lot nicer.
Well, that's what I meant. So similar is
It'll be different. And they're unified. They're not
Right.
Yeah.
school districts. There's a difference.
Yeah.
So,
okay, big difference. Big
Yeah.
difference.
Big
yeah.
difference.
mhm.
And as far as the timeline goes, I think you guys are ahead of the game with I think you mentioned Berkeley. So you're ahead of the game quite a ways.
Good.
If we keep
Yeah,
talking.
and like just in case something happens, or if like we need to like have a cushion of time, or I don't know, whatever. Like I'd rather be more. I have more time, and
Sure.
not lose the good candidates if we have this situation.
Yeah,
If you
absolutely.
look at the timeline, we're really moving as, I would say, as
Yeah.
quickly as we can in
Mhm.
order, and at the same time, carrying out this process so that you get the information that you really want, and that we're able to adequately vet those candidates, the people that apply. And at the same time, have a superintendent sitting in place on July 1. That's really where we start and go backwards.
I have a concern about the opposite. Sorry.
Go ahead, Greg.
Sorry. My concern is almost the exact opposite. If something comes up, I want to know that we can make some alterations and extend something. If we feel like a candidate we want to know more about, and we're kind of questioning, and it's like, can you tell us more? Can you go dig a little deeper? Can you give us a little bit? Will that be able to be happening? Because I know that
Yes.
based on my experience, sometimes something comes up and we're like, hey, everything, these three candidates look really good, and we're really narrowing it down to but we're not sure, and we want to do X, Y, and Z as an extra step. Is that possible, and is that part of what we can do?
But that's my concern with the time, definitely.
Well, to allow for adjustments.
Yeah. Mhm.
Well, I think we have to allow for adjustments and also still be mindful of, the clock ticking. I mean, it's the balance, right? If what you need to know takes an exorbitant amount of time, maybe that's, you know,
You're
it's
gonna,
gonna be
you're gonna
cost
lose,
benefit.
you're gonna lose people. There's nobody that's gonna interview with us that's only interviewing with us. Is my guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you don't want to, you sometimes want to dig a little deeper just to make sure. And I'm not, exorbitant is a good word because I don't want exorbitant. I want a detailed and find out, we need this or one thing or an extra day or something like that.
Yeah, if it's something that's specific that, you know, is not going to take a great deal of research, for example, sure. Yeah, I mean, I think that's reasonable. I think when you get those, the candidate application materials, if there are questions that, you know, as you're looking at them, you know, you're like, gee, I wonder why this person left the last 3 jobs after 2 years. You know, that would be a reasonable question for us to, you know, although we would have dug into that already.
Yes, we would have. We would have noted that already.
That would have been
Something
tier
we
3.
noticed.
Right.
You want to know what he was doing in Beirut in 1977? That's a little bit difficult.
Well, and honestly, the longer, I think, Peter, you were alluding to this, the longer that it goes on, the more likely that they'll be picked up by another district.
Right.
That we have a, you know, earlier appointment date. And so that's what we need to be mindful of. It's kind of, you're trying to walk that balance.
And there's also, you know, I don't want to put a wrench in all of this, but there's also the opposite thing that can happen. And they can say, gosh, you know, your final interviews aren't until, you know, the next Sunday, but I'm interviewing with Berkeley on Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can go either way.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll say
let's
good luck
move-
with that.
Let's
You
move
Really
forward.
should come to our
We didn't go over the online survey. I did have some.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's part of moving forward. I
Well,
believe.
good. Let's move forward.
Okay, so we are on, I think I already mentioned this, that you're going to get this worksheet of contract parameters. So, you know, you'll be able to see what it is that they want. And then questions. So if we would like to take a look at the online survey now. It's ready to go in English, Spanish, and Mandarin on the 7th, as is. And so I don't know what changes you want to be looking at.
I have a question. What do you mean by courageous? Are they going to run into a burning building? I mean, what are we?
Tell me
what
where
is
courageous is.
It's
Courageous
when you
competition.
rank them. Yeah.
Oh,
Look, courageous.
I'm just kind of like courageous. I'm
well,
not
you know,
sure.
sometimes you have to tell the brutal facts, you know, sometimes you have to, you know, tell people things that they're not going to want to hear
Mm-hmm.
or that they may take exception to.
Isn't
But
that just honest?
No, that's not necessarily the same. I mean, it's part of it, but it's not necessarily.
I think some of it has also to do with positional power. If the superintendent has, this is a totally hypothetical situation, the superintendent has to have a conversation with, let's say, the union president. The union president is just not doing a good job, right? And the union president, let's say, has a great deal of influence. And it might be difficult. That might require a little in the courage department. Say, you know what, this needs to be said. So it is honesty, but it's also, you know, depending on who the conversation's with, it might require some courage. A lot of the diversity, equity, and inclusion work that's being done requires courageous conversations where people really have to face their own implicit biases and things like that, and they don't want to hear it. You know,
A good
yeah, I
example
think
is
those are courageous.
a good example is power position too. A superintendent having to talk to a board member because of something that they did and have a conversation. That's courageous too, because
Mhm.
that's in danger of your evaluation. So
Mhm.
you have to be able to manage up well, just as
And
much as
down.
you wanna manage down.
Mhm.
So that's a
Yeah.
courageous thought.
Is strong another, strong? I don't know, I guess, I just don't, when I think of courageous, I think of, people in war and really running into fires. I don't think of a superintendent having a conversation. But strong, you would have to be strong to have a conversation that you're not comfortable with. And you could even say strong in uncomfortable situations, but I don't, okay, maybe it's just me, but I don't see it as showing great courage as part of your job. And you have to be strong to have difficult conversations. So I look at it differently, but that's, if everyone else is okay with it, I'm not gonna make a deal out of it.
Comments?
I'm cool with it. Sorry, Linda.
No, I don't care. I really don't care. I just
I think
think
of
the word's kind of
inspirational
odd
leaders.
there.
I think of inspirational leaders like Martin Luther King, who are courageous and out there and make a stand and do something that
I know we're in a
no one
meeting,
else
right?
would. Oh,
Okay.
he's on the phone.
I'm telling Skelly, sorry.
Courageous conversation.
Did you want to call? Is there something you wanted to tell the board?
Yeah, to get it, hurry up. We're long. Can I just add a
Okay.
couple?
Talk to you later. Bye.
Okay. So can I talk to? I just
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. A couple suggestions. I'm fine with page one, page two. When you start talking about experience, one of the things I think we need to add is something about thinking outside the box. So possessing the ability to think outside the box and be an innovator. I think when we talk about goals as a board, we've always had that as part of one of our major goals is to think outside the box, think innovation. So I think we'd like to hear how important that is from our constituencies. The same goes with so that's number 6. Number
So
7.
that's adding to number 6 is what you're saying?
Yeah, added as one of the lines is picking, is it important or not? I think that's one that we have to add to that.
And that's innovation, thinking out of the box?
Yes, possessing the ability to think outside the box and be innovative. And then the same thing, has the ability to, in number 7, very similar. Because I think in both, you talk about experiences and abilities to do certain things. And I think for me, I really want to look for someone who's thinking outside the box, is innovative, willing to take chances, is courageous. So I think it comes in different categories, but those are the ones I'd like to see added.
And Becky, are we limited to 7 choices on this one? So would we have to knock one out or can we make it 8 choices?
Well, we have innovative under number 8. Under courageous, it says visionary / innovator. But you want to move it.
But I think, no, I want to keep it in that one.
Oh,
But I would like to add thinking outside the box, possess the ability to think outside the box. I don't think we need to do it in both 6 and 7, but I'd like it to be either in 6 or 7.
okay, we can do that. So read me that comment again, possessing the ability.
Has the ability to think outside the box and be innovative.
Okay.
So that can either be, and it seems more likely in 7, but my contention is having that experience is good. So I don't know. Either one, whatever one
Okay.
fits. I'm flexible.
Has the ability to think outside the box and be innovative on number 7.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Great. Any other?
Yeah, I have one.
Okay.
I know that there's something about diversity, but I would have liked to see a more specific question about the actual needs there are in our district for underserved and underrepresented communities. Like, yeah, the diversity question is okay, but in more specifics, is that also important to our community for a superintendent to know about the students that we're serving?
So where would that go, do you think?
I'm sorry, I didn't write down the number and I can't see the rest of the screen the way that I'm looking at the computer, but it was around the diversity question. I don't know if somebody can find it. I want to say maybe it was like section 2.
A general question. Let's see.
It is in section number 6, I think, where you
Yeah,
rank them.
I
And it
think it
says
was 6.
bilingual and or experience in working with diverse communities. Is that
Yeah,
it?
I think,
So what would you like added on that one or changed?
Well, the language is okay, but then it's kind of two different things sometimes. Like, yeah, you can speak the language or know the language, but do you know that, like, or do you know what's specific to those communities, or do you have like an understanding of what, our communities that are, that are really struggling, like what they need, like what's really going on there? Have they done basically like how, the representation, just like how the superintendent would be able to support, I guess, how to support the needs of those communities, the underrepresented and underserved.
So the line before that says a proven track record of growing academic achievement for all students, including special needs children, second language learners, and children experiencing poverty. But that doesn't cover it, right?
I think, but Ligia, we're talking about the survey that all of these stakeholders are going to take, right?
Mhm.
This isn't
Mhm.
for the candidate. This is for them. So
Right.
do you think that, because I'm not, you
I get
think
it.
that they need to have a question on that?
I
The
think what
parents
she's
and-
talking about is she wants an additional question between 2 and 5 that talk about representation or diversity, something along that lines. And I can't pinpoint it for Lihia because I get what she's saying, but I don't know how to articulate it. So, but I think there's a question like, again, it kind of is a sub question of what do you see as the major challenges that will confront our new superintendent? If it, put an equity lens on it, it's what are the equity issues that our superintendent is going to be facing?
Mhm.
That could be another question then.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that would be the appropriate
Okay.
way
Yeah.
to ask our constituents about equity.
Right.
And
Right. Mhm.
So do you want to add a number 6, asking about, do you want to rephrase that, please, Greg?
I lost it. I'm sorry.
No, it was good.
It was good. I was like, it's being recorded, so you can go back.
Like the
Because it kind of ties. See, I think what Leahy is trying to point out is we've asked some general questions like 3 about major challenges and 4 about what we need to know about our community. But I think what she's asking for is a subset of what are the issues around equity and representation, and what are those challenges for the next superintendent.
Well, it's also, if you look at 4 talks about community, but for us, it's communities.
Right.
Because
exactly.
we serve more than one community. And then you could have the follow-up be, what should the next superintendent know about the needs of our diverse constituents, or something,
yeah. Mhm.
Our diverse
like
community,
that.
diverse, represent.
Yeah.
I would say there is a question that we could wordsmith.
Well, I would put that as a, can you do that as a sub question of 4? In other words, what is important to our next superintendent to know about our community, and then just follow that up with, what in particular should the next superintendent know about the equity or diversity needs of the community, something along that line.
That works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Peter's really good at writing.
I
He
can tell.
is.
I can tell.
Even though he's not a lawyer,
Gotta get the
but
word-
he's really good at writing.
wordsmithing's important.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So let me ask you if I captured what you said. So number 4 would be, what is important for our next superintendent to know about our community?
Communities,
And
plural.
Plural.
Yeah.
communities, sorry. And what should the next superintendent know about the equity and diversity needs of our communities?
Mhm.
That's good.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That works really well.
That works.
Got it. Okay.
So Becky, we can get this in Mandarin, right?
I will do my best. Yeah, we can.
Anything else on the survey?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, we're ready to move on. And this is probably going to be the most fun for you all, because we're going to try to see what is it that you are looking for in the next superintendent. So we're going to start out, and Blanca, you're going
I'm
to
ready to take notes.
script for us, and I'm going to ask the questions. So, and probably we should just go round robin, and I will call on you just because of the way I see you on the screen. Are you okay with that?
At this point, I'm going to say goodbye and good
Yes.
evening, and thank you so much for your time. It's an honor to work with you in your district and with Shar. She's a pleasant and wonderful person, and
Mhm.
I'm really excited to help you guys in this important process. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
All
thank
right.
you.
So much.
Bye. Talk to you
Be
tomorrow,
sure to
Shar.
tell the candidates that about Sean.
Yes.
We will,
Yes.
we
will.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's important.
Positive right there, Shar.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
She's the
Thank you.
reason they
Take
should
care.
come to your district.
Heck yeah.
Okay, so we're just going to round robin, popcorn through, and we'll keep going until everybody decides everything that's been said has been said, and then you can pass. So Peter, we'll start with you. What's one thing? It can be a quality, characteristic, attribute, experiential background. What's important to you? What do you want to see in the next superintendent?
I want to see a record of strong academic success and particularly moving low performing students to a higher level of performance. You know, I think the biggest danger we have in this district is that we hire somebody who becomes the administrator, and because this district can look very good. I mean, it's not in financial crisis, it's not in academic crisis, it's not in any kind of crisis. And someone comes in and says, I just have to sit here and not blow anything up.
Yeah.
And that's the worst thing that could happen to this district. We need someone who wants to blow things up and really sees this as a challenge to make this a better district. And to me, that starts with the improving the academics of the district. And so that's my number one priority, is somebody who's really motivated to improve the academics of the district, and particularly the academics of our historically underperforming students.
Great, thank you. Bob, you're next on my screen.
Well, it's sort of an offshoot of Peter and like a visionary.
Okay, thank you. A visionary. Linda?
I want someone who will assess where we are and look at not just the academics, Peter covered that, but look at all of our programs, look at what we have been doing and be willing to say, this doesn't work. Here's something new that could work. This is working well, but maybe you could do this. This is working well, I'm leaving it alone.
Yeah.
And really come in and be willing to do that assessment, because I think it's too easy to come in and go, oh, everybody's doing fine, I'm just gonna, move forward. But I think they really, I want someone who has the skills to do the assessment and make recommendations for purposeful change, for things, and to acknowledge things that are going very well for us. I would like to see that ability to assess.
Thank you. Greg, you're next.
So I want someone who really worries about the culture of the organization, because you're not going to move them, because you're not going to move and make change without understanding culture and climate.
Mhm.
And being able to say, okay, let's get together, let's agree, let's be a strong leader who has a vision and can move forward and think outside the box. So to me, my two things are one who worries about culture and climate and how people work together and be that kind of collaborative leader, but also one who thinks outside the box and can be an innovator and have that vision to move ahead. And I want them to think outside the box. I don't want them to be a typical administrator, someone who knows how to manage a big district and can take care of all the parts. I want more than that. I want someone who's an innovator who can really take this district into the next level.
Okay, Greg, you got 2. I'm counting.
Okay.
Likia, you're next.
Yeah, I echo all of this. I really, want someone who's compassionate, but also that's not afraid of having those hard conversations, that have a strong communication style because I think that's one of the things that we really need in this district, is to be, to really understand each other. But also like what Greg was saying about, and Bob, about being a visionary. That's really important too, because we have had issues that, we've been working through, but it's like, how are we going to resolve this? Like, what's the plan? What's the leadership that needed to keep moving forward and not coming back to the same problem? But also someone that is not afraid of, like us, of telling, like we were saying earlier, someone like the courage, right? To say, hey, I don't agree with that, and can push back, obviously respectfully, but can have that sort of like can listen as well. But is not afraid to, to be up to those challenges of difference in thought.
Okay, that was 3, but again, who's counting?
Sorry.
Peter, back to you.
I guess the other thing that I think is really critical is we have a very strong financial and construction financial team and a very strong construction team, but the superintendent has to have good financial and construction knowledge and experience, because over the next, let's just say we're hiring the typical superintendent who's going to be here at least 5 years. Over the next 5 years, we're going to be doing a massive amount of construction. And the finances are not going to be the same as they've been the last 5 years. So the superintendent has to have experience of understanding what people are telling him, and not just go along with what people are telling him. I mean, he or she has to be bringing some separate knowledge and experience to the table when they have those discussions and are making those decisions. So I think that's absolutely critical for me, that they are not coming with little or no knowledge in those areas, because it's going to be critical for the district with the sale of Crestmore, with the decision about housing for staff and teachers, with the massive construction project under Measure L, with the changes that are coming with the budget over the next 5 years. Those things are going to be critical.
Good, thank you. And that's so important when we recruit candidates, that, we make sure that they've got that in their toolkit. Okay, Bob, you're next.
I got a couple of them. Honesty and candor.
I'm
At
going to
least
count
with-
that as 1.
Well, yeah, I wrote it sort of as a slash, but that wasn't really the 2 of them, because the other one, I won't be like everybody else. So anyway, some, honesty, or yeah.
Okay. You sure you don't want to do 1 more just to get even with everybody?
No.
All right, you had your chance.
Okay.
Linda?
Okay. How many points do I have so far?
1. Let's just try 1.
Oh, okay, I'll go for a second one. I want a superintendent who's willing to be wrong and willing to fix something is wrong,
Mhm.
willing to say, hey, you know what? I was wrong. Let's do this. To listen to counsel, to listen to the board, think it through, and be willing to move forward, acknowledging that that decision might not have been the best one.
Okay, good. Thank you.
That's part of my honesty and candor, but
Yeah.
that's okay.
Well, that's strength of character, I think, too.
Okay.
Also. Integrity.
Mhm.
Can I get a point, Bob?
You're both tottering on that one. Greg.
So I'm going to combine what Linda and Bob just said. I think one of the most important things is to be able to take risks and make mistakes, own it. That's probably what Linda was kind of saying, and being able to communicate candidly with the board. I don't like surprises. So that whole philosophy you learn as a board member, no surprises, and making sure we know what's going on. And I think that's important.
Great, thank you. Lydia, you're next.
Someone who's collaborative. So if they don't know something, that they can ask like advisors or, whoever else that they're in communication with, whether, they can give them the right answer or not. It's just having that, network that way, like support for themselves, but definitely collaborative. We just have so many communities in our district and so many different, lives. So
Perspectives.
yes.
Thank you. Peter, back to you.
I think in this district in particular, I think it's probably true in most districts, but in this district, they've got to be good with people. They've got to really establish personal relationships. And I think that mostly means they've got to like schools more than offices. And I think that's been one of the reasons Kevin's been pretty successful is I think he likes schools more than offices, and he spends a lot of time going to school, going out to the schools, walking around the schools, talking to people, talking to students, and I think that's a good model for a future superintendent. Someone who sits in their office 8 hours a day processing stuff is not going to be very successful in this district.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Robert.
The other one I had, and this sort of leadership, strong leader. And everything we've talked about here is really about leadership, because, when we're talking about people who can fess up to mistakes, people who can listen to others, leadership isn't just telling people what to do and when to do it. So, there's a lot of, it's kind of complicated, but, somebody who knows how to lead. Sometimes you got to follow the lead. Sometimes you got to listen. So.
Absolutely. Thank you. Linda.
Oh, we're getting down. So many things have been covered already. Boy. The superintendent has to be someone who doesn't tolerate racism or bullying in our schools. Any activities that negatively impact students, and racism and bullying are my two, because kids get bullied, ethnic issues, all kinds of stuff. And there can be no tolerance for that. And that starts with the superintendent. So I would like to see that in the next one.
Great. Good point. Greg.
Did I get two for that?
Okay, now wait. You want to have two each next round?
Well, I said racism and bullying, so that's two.
No,
I'm just kidding.
That's a good one. No,
it's 7:22, you guys.
Let's keep going.
I've been at this computer all day.
I got a staff meeting tomorrow and I have to prep. So can we keep going here? So I'm going to quote I think one of the biggest goals that my boss, the axioms that he has, that I think is a core belief that he has to have is is it good for children? It's children first.
Yeah.
About the students, and they have to believe that students are the most important thing, and you have to have your moral compass, your true north is it good for kids? and
Mhm.
good for our students.
Great, thank
Yes.
you. Likia, you're next.
Yeah, and kind of piggybacking on Greg, that's what I was going to say, is the connection to the youth. One thing is like just, going into a classroom and saying hi or whatever, but like I will never forget when Dr. Scully said that he was playing volleyball or basketball or something like that with the students. And I'm like, right on. I mean, he went out of his way, and he like went out of his comfort zone, because that's, young people are intimidating sometimes and we're not always so cool anymore. And so it was neat to see him just not even really care about all of that and just participate and create that kind of like camaraderie with the young people, so they could see him as like somewhat of an equal in that sense, of being human. So I really respect that.
And don't forget, he probably has a height advantage over some of those.
I know, right?
He
He
loves
just likes to play.
I know he loves basketball.
Yeah, he has this childlike desire to play
Yeah.
games, which
But
we
that's
all
good,
should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Peter, and you can have two now. If you all want two, you can have two.
Okay.
the last round.
I think strong. We've gotten along pretty well over the years with Kevin. I think the area where we've gotten crosswise occasionally has been with communication skills. And so, it's very important. This is a board that really wants to be communicated with and wants no surprises and wants to know what's going on and wants to know what's going on first.
Before it's in the newspaper.
And so that's really important. They've got to be willing to communicate with us and tell us everything and tell us first.
Yeah.
And so that's one thing. And the other thing where we haven't made the kind of progress that the board unanimously over at least the last 2, I think maybe even 3 years, has said that it wants to make progress is the out of the box thinking, the really innovation. We need to blow something up here because we are not making progress with underperforming students, and this high school model does not make progress with underperforming students. And we need to change that. And we are not making progress with it. And we need to come up with something that is completely different, a different approach. And we need somebody, this is where the courage capacity comes in, because people are not going to like it, because you're going to have to change something dramatically to make it work, because this model does not work. It's a failed model. That's why we've got millions of kids in California that can't read. And we've got to change that. And this district has the capacity to change it. It just needs to do it.
Okay, thank you. Bob, you can get two now.
I think if I have to do two, I have to do the Boy Scout, thrifty, brave, honest, whatever.
Thrifty. Thrifty is a good word, Bob. Thrifty.
Yeah, I'm done. I think now we're sort of reiterating and kind of, I know when Peter was talking about communication, that was what I had in mind there, was honesty and candor, so that you communicate, in communications. So I'm done. I'll cede my two to whichever board member thinks they have two new ones.
Well, they could have four because they'll like your two and their two. Linda.
Okay. Okay. I play this Wordle thing on in the morning on my phone, and you only get to do one word. I kind of like that because then it's one and done. Okay. I think that we've really covered it. I mean, I think Peter kind of, Bob, everybody's pretty much covered it. I would say the only thing, I have this list that I've made for qualities that I think are important, and it's not just in superintendents. So I'm kind of looking at that. I have on here bears no grudges, and I think that might be is probably a good thing. In order to move forward, you've got to recognize and solve a problem and not bear grudges. And I think trusting the board would be another thing. He has to trust that we're here to do the best we can as a group of 5 to help to make the best decisions. And I think that trusting us is important.
Do you have any others? Because you got a few more now.
I have 15 things on my list, but they pretty much get covered. So.
Okay, all right.
But thank you.
So Greg, now you can have more than your 1 or 2.
I'm gonna stick with 1. For me, it's about personable. I think we really need someone who can make connections with people and be personable, and but also be decisive. I mean, it's kind of that balance of I want him to make connections. I think one of the successes of this board is that we can agree to disagree. We're personable, we like each other, but we can disagree and be like a 3-2 vote, and it just happens, and then the next day we can still talk to each other.
Or give each other rides home because
I just gave you that ride because you were living close by me.
No, but no, yeah. Mark Friedman used to give me rides home. We would disagree during the meeting, and then at the end he'd lean over and say, "Do you need a ride home?" I go, "Sure."
And I think a superintendent needs to be the same way, where it's like you're making connections, you're being personable, you're really there. I don't want someone who is just doing the job. I mean, they could be great at the job, but if they don't have a connection with the people in this district, the board, it's like, forget it.
Okay, 7:29.
Wait, we have one more.
I'm done.
Yeah, and you can get more than 1 too, because 1 also.
I don't know if it's been said already, but a global view of our world as it relates to our students and their families. For example, like right now with immigration, right? So we have a lot of problems in our world right now, and it could be affecting why our students are doing certain things or coming here, whatever it is. But understanding certain situations as it relates to our students to then come to solutions that would be positive and move the district forward.
Oh, I just thought of another one.
Okay, Linda, go for it.
And others might not agree with me on this. But we've been doing a lot of restorative justice rather than expelling kids and throwing them into the street where they're going to be much worse off. We're providing them with opportunities to have insight and to move forward and to grow from the negative experience. And I would really like to see the next superintendent continue that and work further in that realm so that we don't step back in that, because I think the restorative justice has done so much for so many students. And I think it's very important in our communities.
Okay, popcorn out before we close this section off and go to the district strengths and challenges.
Maybe progressive versus punitive, I guess, kind of piggybacking on Linda.
Good.
Yeah.
Anything else in this section? Any other qualities, experiences? Do you care about education? Do they have to have a doctorate, for example, or do they have to be a sitting superintendent? Anything along those lines?
No.
No.
Okay. They can be non-traditional.
Please.
Okay. All right, we're going to move ahead. We're going to start with the strengths, and why don't you just popcorn out on this? So what do you think are the primary strengths? There are going to be so many, you can't list them all, but what would you say you want a candidate to know that, these are our strengths and these are the things that we really want you to continue to grow, to take to the next level?
I think one of our strengths is we're a very high functioning board. I think we're diverse and we have very different opinions, but we come to a consensus and we make some good decisions, I think.
Good.
Well, it's a strong financial district. I mean, right now, financially, it's in good shape.
And we have top facilities.
And it has great facilities. And the facilities are going to get better because we have bond money that we're continuing to invest in the district. So the facilities are going to continue to improve. I think the academics the basic academics of the district are good. There's a lot of good academics going on in the district. There's a lot that needs to be improved.
We'll
But
get to challenges.
but there's a lot of
There's
good
strengths.
academic foundation in the district, too.
I think we have,
We,
oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I think we have a
No,
lot
go
of
ahead.
great people in our district who really care. And
mhm.
I think we need to really preserve that and protect that, yeah, that's pretty much like one of our, parts of our treasures are the people that are here and our students.
Yeah, I think we have a veteran teaching force for the teaching corps here is very experienced. I mean, in some ways, we could be facing quite a transition in the next 5 to 10 years because we may be facing a lot of retirements, but we have a veteran teaching corps, and we are able to attract consistently very solid teachers. And I think we have a very good classified staff also.
Yeah,
And
very
I'm-
high performing.
I would
And
say,
yeah,
just
we
experience.
do not, oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say, not only experience, but creative and willing to go, work hard. That was hardworking, like Lehia was saying.
We have a very, very, very low percentage of
Turnover.
letting people go for cause, which says a lot for the teaching staff and management staff, principals, assistant principals. We have a very, very, very low disciplinary situation, incredibly low when you look at the number of people we have. Another strength that I see is that we have multiple paths that a student can take. They can go to a comprehensive, they can go to middle college, they can go to the charter school if they can, if they have the opportunity there. We have Penn for students who need to catch up on credits. We have summer school for students who need credits. We have, or want to get a little ahead. We have AP, IB. What else? We have a lot of programs and opportunities for students. And I think Avid, I think all of that is a strength. We have excellent music programs too, and theater, large theaters, well-maintained, new, beautiful facilities. We have new, up-to-date technology. Yeah, and which I think is really important. And we have the staff to maintain that and to assess problems and fix them before they come bigger. So we're very well positioned to do what Peter says. Peter's been saying about taking the next steps and how we can enhance the academic opportunities and the growth.
Just to add to that list, also like our small houses for Hillsdale, where we have some innovation,
Yeah.
more personable for students, where it's not just the big comprehensive, that it's more smaller and innovative that way.
Yeah, innovation, like we saw this presentation at the last board meeting where special education has a great program, for students that want to get into different types of job that have disabilities. Not a lot of districts have that. So we have a lot of really great, programs that are out of the box, like even with our, the early child development stuff, they've turned into now like a different opportunity. So yeah, just like what Linda and Greg were saying, that there's so many different types of options, but also the understanding. I think that's the thing though with our staff, is that the understanding of what our communities are facing and need, and then trying to think about how we can bring something to them that's going to appeal and that's going to fill those needs.
Even the traditional support of our adult school.
Right.
We were just talking about that the other
the
our
adult
former
school.
meeting,
Right.
where
Adult.
we're hanging. We keep funding that and have funded that consistently, even though everybody else is kind of bailing on those.
Yeah. So when we have an immigrant student come to us and they're 18 and we can't put them in a comprehensive or the bridge program, or at a big school or whatever, they can go to the adult school. They have a place to go. It may not be where we'd really like to have them and where they want to go, but we do have a place for them, and they, they can succeed too. I think the district has worked very hard to welcome we have so many languages spoken in this district and people from all over the world. And I think the district has worked very hard to help each student who comes in find a place and to fit. And I think that's, we can always do better on everything, but I think that district has made a lot of effort in that regard.
Okay, any other strengths you want to note before we move on to challenges?
We have good parking.
Okay.
Lighten it up here.
Well, the only thing, the thing, and everybody's got a good one. I think the diversity of the district is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I would say the focus, our forward-thinking focus on equity and and work with that. I think that's an important.
Yeah.
We just passed a policy. We did the flag policy. We did a lot of innovation to say, hey, we believe in this, and this is our commitment.
Yeah, we're facing the things that are challenging, but we're not running away from it. And, again, we're not perfect. We do have a lot of growth to do, but we're not ignoring it or pretending like it's not there.
Right.
No.
Good.
We're courageous.
Good.
We run into burning buildings,
Yeah.
burning issues.
That's it. That's what courageous is. Being able to run in.
I'm starting to get the feel of it.
It's not even 9 o'clock yet. Wait a minute.
No, it's 7:39. What's next?
Okay, our last thing that we're going to talk about are challenges. And again, these are not necessarily things you're running away from. You're not putting your head in the sand, but the next superintendent needs to know these are things you're going to have to deal with probably. And so, sharpen your skill set, because these are going to come up to challenge the district.
I'm going to take Peter's, the achievement gap, huge.
Well, it's not that the gap is huge. It's just a huge issue.
No, it's a huge issue that I think is a challenge that we need to really work on. And that's something that we really are obvious and we really want to do some change in that area.
And post-COVID, I think, when you look at administration and all the principals and everyone trying to think out of the box, COVID put everyone in the box and closed the door. And so now that we're out of the box again, at least we're edging out, mask on. I think that more thinking out of the box activities and thinking and leadership will be very welcome.
But that's the problem.
That's a challenge because we've been stuck.
Challenge is the post-COVID world. What does it look like?
Yes.
Right.
That's
Yeah,
right.
I think in the next 3 to 4 years, the challenges are going to be massive for we're going to get ninth graders that are far behind what we are accustomed to. And that's going to be an enormous challenge for all high schools, but particularly for us. And because we have very high expectations of our students, and we have high expectations for graduations requirements. And the next superintendent is going to have to figure out, how do we get those kids to that level? And that's what we need to do. We need to get them to that level, not lower the level. And that's going to be enormous. That's going to be an enormous challenge, because it's going to go on for 4 years at least, I think.
And the superintendent will be challenged in working with the feeder districts on that issue, because they need to prepare them to come to us, and they're going to, they're the behindedness hopefully will lessen over time. But Peter's right. We're going to see that first wave, and hopefully it's not going to continue. But I think working with the feeder districts leadership is going to be very more important than ever.
That's where the communication and the collaboration with others is going to be really important. And I also think, in my observation of what I've seen the short time that I've been here, is the historical issues that have not been completely solved over time and just kind of rolled over, I think need to be really tackled, and there has to have some sort of plan. And it's hard sometimes that the plan changes and things change, like COVID again, really put it kind of interrupted some things, but there were some things that should have been addressed from before that weren't, and it exposed it, and so the historical situations, which again comes with courage of dealing with difficult things and
I think
communicating.
the sale of Crestmore and the staff housing is going to be a challenge for the next superintendent. I think it's enormously important for the future of the district on several levels, the future financial stability of the district, the attraction, retention of staff. I think those are enormous issues for the district to deal with. There, you know, we've still got a NIMBY environment out there to build anything. So the superintendent's going to have to overcome that. There's going to be unanimous consent on anything we do. Again, that comes up with a courageous ability to move forward, knowing that overall you're doing the right thing. So that's certainly going to be a key set of decision points in the next probably 2 years.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
I think mental health, I tried to
Mental
talk
health.
between two. So mental health issues, and it kind of ties into what Linda was talking about, is what's coming up and what we have currently, and making sure that we have the resources to be able to provide resources for mental health issues and that are coming up across the board. Also staff, not just students.
Any other challenges?
Maybe changes in leadership. I mean, I don't know how much it would affect us, but like with the congressional races and the assembly races and things like that, keeping those relationships in, making sure that we can, like, in our connections, in our relationships, advocate for things that can be positive to affect, that will affect our youth. Like, you know, Peter was talking about housing and having those relationships with city council and places like that, where if we need to, you know, advocate, like, these are the things that are affecting our students directly, and that are distracting them from whatever their studies are or whatever's going on in their lives. And so having, like we were, you know, saying earlier, like having those, like the collaboration and maintaining that. And it's a lot because there's a lot of different relationships, but the maintenance has to be there.
The new superintendent's going to have to deal with changing dynamics on the board, moving to district elections. You know, 2 of us are leaving in December, and you know, it's going to be a different dynamic. You know, that's going to be it's going to be a different board that from what the district's had for many years now.
It's true.
And it'll be a different board than the board that hired him or her.
That's right.
I
Yeah.
think to tag on that, it's about continuity, how to maintain a change of leadership, and change of leadership, not only the superintendent, possible other leadership positions like principals change. So anytime someone, you know, a superintendent leaves and then a board changes, huge things can happen. So how do you maintain that continuity? How do you keep what's going well and continuing that and then expanding beyond that? So I think that's a challenge that they're going to have.
And that makes this decision for us, and really, I mean, not that it isn't a very serious decision anyway, but even more concerning, because we know we've been here long enough where we, you know, there's a lot of things we have institutional knowledge, and we want to hire the absolute best person to so that the district doesn't step back in any way. And I think that, you know, yeah, so that makes this job something even more important than it is every day.
Any other challenges you want to note?
And maybe the representation for certain communities that have always been like a low representation, exploring why, and, you know, being, and again, innovation and trying to like collaborate with the different, you know, people in the district that can facilitate those relationships or that information, about being mindful of that and keeping the pulse on it. It's hard because there's so many reasons and ways and, and then they're going to be new. So they have to come in and see the district, like start all over. If they say it's somebody that's not familiar, they'll have to start fresh and, meet everyone. So.
Absolutely. Any other
Okay.
challenges you want to share? Okay. If something comes to you in the dead of night, feel free to, don't text me, just email me.
Please, please.
Ms. Blanca, just email us. Are there any other questions before we let you go? Anything at all about the process? Anything we've talked about this evening? Anything you'd like to know?
No.
No, just thank you. You did a great job.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Appreciate
Are
it.
there any public comments before we adjourn tonight?
Only Amy Johnstone is left.
I know she's hung in there.
Oh, really?
What a trooper. What a trooper.
Yeah. Even Kirk left. Well, hey, yeah, it's a long day.
Uh-huh.
No, isn't there a game tonight at Aragon?
I thought it was,
There is, yeah, I think there
And there's
actually
some
there
games
is.
tonight.
There's
so
quite a
people
few
are probably at
going
the
on.
games.
there's a lot.
Yeah.
If you're a high school district, there's always a game going on.
Well,
You know
no,
that.
we were,
These are
we-
championship games.
we
Yeah,
had
they're
a,
big
yeah,
one.
our, particularly our women's teams were very successful in their winter sports, particularly basketball. And then
Whoa.
Aragon soccer. Yeah, so our women have a lot of games going. And there's some successful male basketball teams too going. So
Excellent, excellent. Okay, Blanca, is there anything that we need from them?
I think we've got what we need, and we just need to get to work.
I know.
Yeah.
We're going to follow up with Kurt
Yep.
Black about EdJoin, talk to Laura about, the narrative, and get
become
you a
Char's
summary of all
best
of this.
friends.
So
Yes,
Char would
we
be-
are. We are definitely.
Okay.
Thank you, Char, for everything you do, really.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
It's a pleasure, an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. We're going to let you go.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Good night.
Thank
I think we
you.
have
Night.
Thanks, Char.
completed the agenda, so I am adjourning the meeting. We will see
Yeehaw.
you next